All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the lab. With you currently is Alex Trotter and Lou Camp. Brandon will be joining us shortly. He's running a little bit behind. Um, last week we obviously didn't have an episode. I was out of the Dayton area. I was actually up in Michigan for the National Strength and Conditioning Association's Great Lakes Regional Conference, which I went up there with Alex Gale, which was an absolute blast. I'm not gonna lie. First and foremost, thank you to all the speakers who just made the day fun. I really didn't know what to expect from a regional conference with the NSCA. I've trying to think. When I was at UD, I had gone to one as a student, and I thought it was a lot of fun. But I think that was in Columbus. But I mean, that's going way back. Uh, but no, I enjoyed it a lot. It was a lot of fun. Got to listen and meet a lot of cool people. Got a few interviews coming up too now. Sorry. Allergies are murder right now. But no, it was yeah, I know. It's welcome to Sinus Valley, right?
Yeah.
But so let me see here. Let me pull up what I got. So I guess the topic for today's episode is going to be my three big takeaways from the conference. And while I was super pumped to be able to go see Mike Israetel, he was not there, unfortunately, which was a bit of a bummer. Um, Brandon just texted he'll be on in a little bit, which was a little bit of a bummer. I'm not gonna lie, I was actually really excited for that. Get to see the guy behind RP, or one of the guys behind RP Strength. Um, got to see some, I guess you could say, viewpoints from physical therapists, which was not as many as I thought there were going to be. But then also got to meet a lot of cool strength coaches and just kind of see like, it's a merger of all the different professions all into one conference. So it was kind of different for me, but also at the same time, I thought it was good to get a lot of different perspectives from people that were there. So for example, Annette Zapp, we will be having hopefully getting scheduled soon to do an interview with her on firefighter wellness and preparation, which will be a lot of fun to kind of go through. But no, you got to see the passion for everyone that they had for the field. There were some presentations I wasn't so keen on, which I I mm, I won't go into that on this one. Maybe we'll save that one for another episode, Potter, because I feel like I could talk on that one for about 45 minutes. We might even have to bring Alex on for that one too, just so he shares in my I'll say my distaste. I don't want to say hate. Hate is a strong word.
I mean, what stuck out to you the most? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was like a light bulb went off?
They talked about a lot about progressions and like how we go about, managing progressions with our patients, especially post-op, and like respecting healing tissue times. And one of the things that kind of stuck out, not like that affirmation, like, you think you know what you know, and then all of a sudden there's like that, oh yeah, hey, look, someone else is doing it the same as me, kind of a thing was kind of nice to see. But then it was also one of the biggest takeaways, I guess, is perspective. So like the fact that while the PT was presenting the information, how you can present it in a way that like everyone's on board, everyone is like managing the information the same way. Um, what I mean by that is like when you and I work with an athlete, you and I are going to go approaching them and making sure we're both on the same page before we make any kind of progressions, both in the weight room or in like the clinic, right? So
Yep.
that was kind of cool to see because now it's like on a much larger scale and just like seeing the collaboration between professions. So that I would say would be like number one is like we always talk about like sports medicine model. This was like that on a grand scale, which was really awesome to see. And then like if there was like any discrepancy or questions, like everyone there wasn't like you're just a strength coach, like you don't know what this is. Like, how can you not know what this is? There wasn't anything like
Yeah.
that. Like everyone had questions and everyone was going to be lifting everybody up and kind of going through everything together. Um, which was good to see. I really enjoyed that. I mean, it's good to know that you're not like, a party of one um with that too. Probably the best informational like speaker that they had, in my opinion, was I'm gonna butcher his last name. Um Lance Redwants. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but it was basically about hydration. And it was actually really cool because now I want to dive deeper into it. But he, like, you can tell when someone's passionate about their field and like what they do, like for their job. And like this guy, Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen someone more passionate talking about sweat glands in my entire life.
Yeah,
So this guy was like just going off and talking about like um, what we actually do take in with water and like how just inefficient we are with like just maintaining and absorbing the water. And so he actually had like this little ingredient thing for us. And it was actually kind of cool. Like it was called stepping back into the kitchen. I don't know if you guys can
okay,
kind of see that, but it was like what amount of sodium and then also like what amount of sugar like would help you with like absorbing the water into your system. So
yeah.
I mean that spoke to me in a huge way because I mean he's sitting there and he was going off all about it and I'm like something to look more into. I mean we always see like liquid IV and what's the other one? Liquid IV and there's something else. Like now I'm gonna start looking into those ingredients way more.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I hardly ever do it. I mean, I um yeah, I just always took like a little thing of salt. I never even thought about adding a little bit of sugar like into the water
Yeah, no, neither did
and
I.
going from there. And
It
that
was
was
like,
mainly just because, from like cramping.
yeah, never a fun experience. Uh,
Yeah.
the other thing I think to think about, biggest takeaway. I mean, there's one the sprint mechanic one was actually really one of the biggest takeaways. Like, I guess after seeing how Brandon goes about teaching his speed training and then seeing how someone else teaches it and how drastically different they were, I'd be really curious to get one of the guy that taught the I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name. Um, I would butcher it so bad, so I apologize on that. But he actually talked a lot about sprint mechanics and like posturing and what you do with the arms and like power production. And then I'm thinking about how Brandon kind of relays it, and I guess how one person would phrase it for like a college level athlete compared to like the kids in like grade school and high school. Like the terminology and what the goal is probably or is actually the same, but
Yeah.
then how they go about doing it was completely different. It was actually kind of cool to see. So I'm like, like I'd be cool to get those two in a room and have them like hash out like how they like try to get their information across. Um, and
Well,
then
it depends on the athlete too.
true.
So, I've been in many conversations with Brandon on these and feel confident enough to speak for him, I guess, in terms of this. But yeah, I mean, when you're talking mechanics and anteriorly rotating and all this other stuff, then yeah, that's more like college level because they understand it. Like they've had a side conversation with him or with us about like what do you mean when you say this? But if you have like a middle schooler or a high schooler that like hasn't been in those positions yet, then all
Hmm.
of a sudden like it's very foreign and they're probably not going to ask questions as it is. So you really have to break it down
Hmm.
to a elementary level ability to speak, if you will, or terminology, elementary terminology. And that's not a shot at the kids. You don't know what you don't know.
True.
And there's a ton of stuff on like running mechanics and sprint mechanics and everything like that that I don't know. Like I'm always asking Brandon stuff every single week. There's a new question. So
See, now I
yeah,
want to get both. We got to
never
get
stop learning.
them. Never at all. But then, yeah, Matthew Ibrahim. I mean, that wasn't so much of like new materials. It was just kind of like a good refresher, which was frontal plane training and like
Mhm.
just like adding in the particular movements that maybe you really suck at. Um, like I know my adductors, I've been trying to incorporate way more wide stance squats, and I could tell because my adductors were just
Screaming.
dying every week. I would try to incorporate them because the devil there he is.
Yeah,
He's here. All right. But no, like so like um and again, you can tell when someone's really passionate about the material because the way that they were presenting it was a way that like I was immediately like interested in how I need to basically go about my own programming with this and start incorporating like frontal plane training. I would actually love to bring him on here and do that with him too. Uh
Mhm.
yeah, Matthew Ibrahim, I mean, we just went through it was like a lateral lunge. We did a Copenhagen plank. We did I guess you could call them Copenhagen raises, where you're in the Copenhagen, you're moving up and down through it and moving in and out of like hip adduction. Um, but like all I did was over the last like week was just started incorporating that as like a warm up before I would go into my wide stance squats. My adductors have not been killing me nearly as much, which I'm like,
yeah,
there's some good information here. I think I need to start applying it into my own programming and maybe even what I'm doing in the clinic.
yeah.
Um, and also maybe like how I go about resisting certain like hip movements. Like I'm always about like bands and like ankle weights, but maybe I need to load it a little differently, or maybe put the weight in the band in the same direction, just make it absolutely terrible, but in a nice way. Thanks you for joining us there, Brandon. No, topic is we're basically just talking about the conference I went to last weekend and how I'm butchering everyone's last names right now.
Heck yeah.
No, but no, overall, I would say if you've never been to an NSCA conference, it would definitely be worth looking into in the future. Or if like you're looking into particular like certifications, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff up on their website. They're always improving that and always looking into more things like that. Um, but no, like we already talked about, trying to think, we talked a lot about like the fact that there's the merger of all the different professions all in one room. So it was kind of cool to get everyone's different perspectives and understanding, like level of understandings also together. And like, how can we like interpret and utilize this information effectively, um, easily? I mean, simple, but put in such a way that I was like engaged the entire time and constantly wanting to like either pick his brain, um, or even just like, okay, I have this to utilize. How can I go about like my brain was immediately going to progressions and regressions and things like that for my patients. Um, Especially with one gentleman in particular, Brendan, you know who I'm talking about, with adductors.
Yeah.
um, but no, good time. Good time was had by all. Now, the only thing I would say, the 4 hour drive up and then the 4 hour drive back, that was not fun. That could have been better planned, but it wasn't like our trip up to Canada that one time.
Yeah,
Oh, were
but
you
you
stuck the
still
whole
hold
time?
on.
Hey, I had sleep, okay? Get off my back. That was horrendous. Oh my gosh. I mean, if you
Yeah,
don't
try driving.
I don't envy you at all, Brandon. I'm not even gonna oh right.
Try driving it and then participate in the activities and then driving it again.
You had it way worse than I did, that's for dang sure. Ugh, ugh, just gross. That was that was actually horrible, Brandon. I'm not gonna lie. I apologize as well. That was disgusting.
Right.
It was pretty rough. See. And the guy that did the speed training talk, which was just like the title for it was Introduction to Linear and Lateral Speed Mechanics for Field Sport Athletes. So like I was just talking to Alex here about how the way you go about explaining it to like the high school and like middle school age kids and how he was explaining it to like the college level like or like professional level people, it was just crazy how much you guys differ in how you relay your information, but then at the same time like you're both making improvements with the athletes. It's just the level of understanding. So like that would be, I think, a good one for us to talk about at a later time would just be like going through posture with running mechanics. Like, is it hyped up too much, or maybe there is like a level of understanding that you do need to have, like, obviously compensations, things like that. But what questions do you guys have from like the NSCA conference? Like, cause it was fun, um, overall. I mean, I definitely feel like I learned a lot more than what I had initially anticipated. What questions do you guys have for me though? I'm curious, if any.
Is that for like CSCS credits and stuff like that? Like,
CEUs?
yeah, CUs.
Yeah. So I had to you get like 0.8 CEUs, I believe, for doing that, going up there. So I got ways to go, but
Yeah.
not bad.
Oh, I didn't even know you needed to was that like oh shoot, what's the word? Um oh like where you gotta stay like up to date with it.
Yeah, you just re-up your certification. You get so many
Yeah.
CEUs and then you turn them in.
Don't have to like retake the whole test and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest. That's how far I've gotten to the study guide.
There's a way what's the way you can do that without even having to do those?
Say it again.
There's a way that you don't have to like turn in CUs, but you can still keep your CSCS.
I'd have to look
Pretty
into
sure
that.
there used to be. I thought there was.
Yeah, I don't
If
know.
you're like part of some type of
Like
thing along the lines.
the distinction,
Yeah.
like the CSCS.
Yeah.
I'd have to look into that more. I honestly couldn't tell you off the top of my head, to be honest.
Yeah. If they even do anymore, they might just make everybody do CUs,
Yeah, they might. I
pay their
honestly,
money, and
Yep.
I will
Yeah. I
say
don't know.
but
Oh
the
God.
one group or the one person I wish I would have gone to listen, the one that I didn't have a chance to go listen to was the Be the Coach You Wish You Had. That was with Dane Bart.
Yep.
He would have been one I would have liked to have listened to talk. I heard that one was pretty good from other people. So that's one I wish I would have gone to. I do have, I want to bring that to you guys, the hydration tips thing. I got to bring that up.
Mhm.
That honestly, I'm not gonna lie, he was really good. He would be a fun one to have on as well. Um, so Lance, if you want to, reach out to me, dude. But yeah, I got a few little business cards here, so I'm pretty pumped to have a few people come onto the podcast and talk. Uh, although one might be from Michigan, we will see.
Ah, we'll have to talk slower.
Oh boy, oh my
Put the
gosh, they're
subtitles
gone.
on.
No, I think that'd be fun. Um, yeah, overall, that's really about all I had. I mean, three biggest takeaways, merger of the professions, um, the frontal plane fundamentals, training there, and then just the terminology and like presentation of information. Um, I would say don't be afraid to like go and attend a conference. They're actually way more fun and you can meet a ton of people. It was kind of cool to see like when we were all doing the frontal plane fundamentals one, how like everyone like you could just tell people were ready to move and everyone was very engaged with it. So we were all like, I mean, we're all in a profession that requires a lot of movement. And so it was like the light switch and the energy levels kind of came back to us because the morning of just listening to people talk, not gonna lie, that kind of killed me a little bit. But overall it wasn't bad.
Mhm.
It wasn't bad at all. No. But I do have questions for you guys.
Okay.
So when you guys are, where was it at? Yeah, here we go. So there was one talk in particular that went into we've had talks on mental preparation and things of that nature. Uh, I was just curious to get your guys' thoughts on these. So like one of the things for mental preparation that they had was smiling. Like forced smiling was one of the things that they had for I guess you could say. So one of the things, so like it was the body hacks. So I know we've talked about breathing in the past, especially in terms of like arousal level. Like you increase your breathing, hyperventilate, you excite yourself too much, and you breathe slow and deep and you relax yourself and you're not going to be ready to go. Especially if there's like power production involved, not a good thing. They had smiling though as one of the body hacks, which kind of made me want to look into it a little bit more. And forcing a smile actually helped you with preparation, which I thought was kind of interesting. I was kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on that. Forced smiling. Even if you're not feeling it, it doesn't have to be a genuine smile, but even just doing that can put you into a level of like from what she was saying, level of preparedness that you can then perform at a higher level.
can't say I've ever thought of that, to be honest with you.
Okay. That's how I was
Yeah.
curious. New to me.
Try to get pissed off kind of guy rather than smile.
Yeah. And see, like I don't necessarily like go the pissed off route anymore. I'm much more of like a smart ass like Joker. But I think that's just my personality coming out way more. Like
Okay.
when like trying and then just like and then you just hone it all in, like
Mhm.
right there at that very moment.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that would help the stress levels stay reduced
Mhm.
in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like you see ever like I see it a ton of times in like in powerlifting especially because people feel as if like they need to get like super pissed off, but they go like too far. So then now like you're doing stuff that you've never done before, or you're banging your head against the bar. Why are you doing that? Like that's not going to help you stay awake.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's just it's too much, I guess.
Makes sense. Then the other ones they had were so visualization. I think we talked about visualization in the past. You know,
Yep.
something you want to do it, repeat it, you have success. One of the things that she brought up though was that you never visualize. Like they talk about going through like scenarios and like prep, like basically being prepared for those scenarios, but in those scenarios you never fail.
Why would you prepare to fail?
That's what I thought was interesting. I was like, why would that ever even cross your mind? Or it's like you start becoming like a negative Nancy kind of a thing. That's how I was like,
I mean, it can happen. It can snowball. Like
true.
I know, like for myself, like if I had a bad practice or if I had like a bad day in like training, like coming up for a meet, then
Mm.
it was all like, oh well, this isn't happening, this isn't happening, this isn't happening. I suck at everything, blah 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 blah, and it just for the whole rest of the day.
And you spiral out of control.
Yeah.
Hmm. How did you get your like? Did you ever get yourself out of that or no?
Yeah, eventually it just goes away.
It just goes away.
Yeah. Or I mean, like it just motivates you just to like take that next day of training like a little bit harder and a little bit more serious. It's almost like
Mm.
it re-locks you in like for your focus. You know, I feel like that's what a lot of people, especially like while in season, they start to lose focus of like the main goal that they had at the beginning, and they start to lose that sensation that it would give them. You know, like when you start visualizing, like I don't know, putting first place around your neck for track, kind of thing, like that gold is heavy. So like you want to be able to do that. So if you like start, you know, if you have one bad race, you take second or third or something like that, or you fuck up a block start, then all of a sudden now you're in your head and now that goal just disappears. No, it's just a bad day, not a bad season.
That makes sense. Okay. Okay. I guess I never really thought about it like that. I mean, hmm. The way that she kind of presented some of the information, some of it almost seemed like it was like too, I'm gonna say,
Basic.
yeah, like how can you take something so almost easy, right? Something so easy, something like, yeah, okay, let me just visualize my success and that's gonna make me more in like a ready state to go. Um,
Yeah, but I mean, even apply it to like for you, for example, for like dry needling.
mhm.
Like you had to visualize where those muscles were on that human in order to needle the correct area, and you had to visualize doing it correctly and not having the patient just spaz out. So it's like the same thing just in sports. Like if you've never been there before,
Mhm.
then you know you don't know how you're emotionally going to take it. You don't know how you're physically going to take it from your emotional state. It carries over. So like if you can visualize, you know, just some of the scenario, so now that takes out the element of surprise and you can kind of just hone it in and get that tunnel vision going, like going back. Like, I don't know. A great example is like, and she's going to get pissed that I say this, but like Camilla,
Mhm.
like she goes down the dark end of before every race, or she used to. She doesn't really do that much more. But, you know, I mean, like, we always knew when she was getting ready to run because our phones was ringing. And like you just gotta bring her back in.
It's a trainer.
Still does.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Holy smokes. So I guess now you can say that was actually the managing the nerves part of my notes. Nothing but positive thoughts.
Yep. You
Uh,
have to manage your nose or your nerves. Like it's just wasted energy. You're just wasting your energy before you even get to the moment that you're nervous about.
true. What do you guys think about like distractions? Like, what if you can't get nothing but positive thoughts? How do you guys go about like distracting the mind or utilizing good distractions versus bad distractions? Have you guys ever had anything like that? Like sometimes I'm like uh, a dog outside and it's like squirrel and like I can't focus. Like there are some nights where my brain just kind of goes out into like five different directions. Like that, those I would say would be bad distractions, but like what would be like a good distraction? That's what I was kind of like. There were certain things like managing nerves, make up your mind. What are you going to do like that? I can understand. The distractions part was a little bit like,
Yeah. I mean, there's always stuff, you know, like if you're playing a game or something like that, you can have like a cowbell going off or an air horn or some sign that like done pissed you off, you know, because it's talking about whatever, you know, so like just little distractions like that. But I don't know. I just feel like if you're like truly in the zone, you just kind of like just deflect it and block it out and then handle it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess I never thought about that.
I don't know. But I like to think that we help with a lot of the distractions with our athletes because we're constantly like giving them different scenarios and different shit talks that like they haven't heard before to like try to throw them off their game. And you know, a few of our athletes like last year or the year before, one or two, they came up and they said like, yeah, like the student section was like just chirping away and blah 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 blah, and it's like, oh, this is nothing. Like we go through worse every single time we go into the gym.
Oh shit.
So happy to help.
Making a difference in the world.
Yeah, one shit talk at a time.
No.
So,
Anything
yeah,
else you two wanted to touch on?
I got nothing.
Nope.
No, Brandon, you want to contribute a little bit?
So I'm good. I'm just here watching.
Well, hopefully next time we'll have maybe have a few different people come on here, but I know I'm pretty excited for the next 2 months. That's for darn sure. But no, seriously, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to tell people more about the NSCA conference. Hopefully we got a few people coming on here in the next month. But we will see you guys in the next episode.